You've talked a bit about how time in Palm Springs is going to kind of figure out a lot of the tactics and the formation, lineup, that kind of stuff, and do a lot of work there. Specifically with that, I'm wondering about Nuhu, based on what you've seen from him last year, based on a number of factors. What do you think his skill set? How do you think his skill set could fit into a back four? Could it even fit as one of those two middle center backs, or is he specifically, did his skill set specifically just fit that left back spot? Thanks.
No, I mean, he can play multiple positions as he's gotten older. Look, he played consistent left back for us in, 2019, 2020, all of that sort of stuff. He was great last year as the third center back. Can he play as one of the two? I probably think he could, Jackson. There's a couple of little nuances between playing left back and then left center back in a back line of four. There are some tactical nuances that he could probably figure out, but it's a little early for this trip because he's still awaiting his passport and his stuff in Cameroon. So he's probably not going to make that game against the Galaxy. So whatever formation we roll out from Otagua, we'll just have 4 training days with him, and we'll probably put him, in a position where he feels comfortable. And again, it's a team sport. I mean, the energy in the locker room down here is great because we got Alex back, Christian back, Jordan's back, JP's in the building, Javi's in the building. Everybody's excited to see each other. So I'm super excited about this last camp and, getting everybody together. Nuhu will join us down in California and we'll get after it.
So Nuhu's the only guy right now that's not with you here traveling to Palm Springs.
Correct.
Okay.
Hey, Brian, with obviously games approaching and another training camp coming up, first of all, how's the team doing health-wise in terms of injuries? And how do you manage that part of wanting to get the best out of your players, but also making sure that you don't overexert them and keep them healthy?
Well, a lot of that, I'm assuming you're talking about the guys that are coming back from international duty. We have gotten reports from Ecuador, from El Salvador, from the US. JP has been training on his own, but it was a program that was devised by our people. So guys that haven't been in camp certainly have been training. They've been training it at a good level, but we'll integrate them as we see fit, as the medical guys see fit. Because yes, Nico, we're going to need everybody. It's a long season. It's a condensed season. There's lots of competitions. So having a full roster of healthy players is going to be key.
And I was kind of somewhat looking very briefly, by the way, at the roster that we get from CONCACAF Communications. I didn't see Jimmy and Leo Chu. How does that work? Does that mean anything at all?
Nope. They should be on there.
All right.
Double check that. I'll make sure that they're both on there.
All righty.
Hey, Brian, I guess first off, your screen backdrop, does that have any meeting with Albert and Roman there?
No. That was for a different whatever. I just had it up there. I left it up there because Christian's there. Look, Rusnak has been really good. So the first thing I did when JP came into my office this morning, talked to him, how's his family, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. Albert's been pretty good. You'll like playing with him. I did the same thing with Nico a couple days ago. We had a little meeting. You're going to like Nico. You're going to like Albert. I did the same thing with Christian. I think Albert's going to be a tremendous player for the club. I don't know why I left that photo up there. Shows he's a competitor. If he's not afraid of Ramon Torres, then he's not afraid of most players in our league.
That's fair. When you have a group that your core has been together now for a few years, you're bringing guys back in very similar positions. How does that allow you to approach camp differently? And by that, how does it allow you to approach the season differently?
Well, camp was kind of, kind of jumbled just because we were missing some really important pieces. So the physical component of this camp has gone according to plan. Maybe some of the tactical stuff, trying to see what 4-2-3-1 looks like, incorporating Albert with some of his new teammates. Those are the nuances that I'm hoping to cram in this last 8 days before we head off down to Honduras. So there is some challenges still to be met. We won't really know how the team looks and jives and gels until we roll them out there on a real game against a real opponent. But it's been okay. I mean, it helps. What I would say maybe is the flexibility of playing last year with 3 center backs and having 4-2-3-1, having that's been our base formation since I kind of took over. I think that does definitely help. They still remember 4-2-3-1.
Brian, sorry, I'm asserting that. Are you asserting that that is your formation, or using that as a reference? And I'll start with that. Is that
we're gonna train a little bit in 4-2-3-1 just because it was a year ago when we used that exclusively. They know 3-4-2-1 or 1-2, however we line up forwards, because remember, Will Bruin came on at the beginning of last year and did a great job for us, having 2 forwards. And then I kind of switched that into a house, added an extra midfielder in there. So there are still some tweaks, Maz. I'm not telling you guys that 4-2-3-1 is going to be the formation. I think it'll be a little bit of trial and error in the first part of the year. And we might roll it out for, home games. We might do one tactical against another team. It'll give us a little more flexibility. Having the players really understand 2 formations is better for us as coaches.
And offensively, where do you feel you are at the end of the day?
I think we're going to be really good. I'll just get right to the point. I think we're going to be really good offensively. I mean, Albert adds another dimension. He loves shooting from top of the box. His set pieces are good. He's going to add something. You're bringing Jordan back. I mean, you're bringing Jordan back. Nico's coming back. I mean, the team looks pretty good offensively. Again, tempering expectations. It's only been training, but in training, they look pretty sharp.
Thanks.
Brian, speaking of, go ahead. Go ahead, guys. Whoever was going to go.
Oh, I was going to say, speaking of expectations, Brian, do you feel like you're having to do, more work in terms of tempering those? It's, you look at it on paper and it's pretty easy to get really excited about, the prospects of this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a consistent message, Jeremiah, just because, look, you can't pile on too much pressure. The players already are in they're pro athletes. So there's that pressure. There's always, 40,000 people in the building. We're a big club. It's one of the reasons why Albert wanted to come play for us. We're a big club. There's added pressure there. Look, it's a World Cup year. There's guys that are vying. There's a lot of guys that are vying for spots on their respective national teams. I mean, look, as good as Nuhu is, does he have that position locked up for November? I don't know. Oyongo's coming back from injury. He's got to keep his level high. Christian Jordan, they want to be included in the group. I mean, there's always pressure, Jeremiah. They get it. But yeah, it's my job sometimes to, slow it down a little bit with you guys and the fans. I mean, look, I still read your site. It's still good. It's still very nice. I enjoy some of the stuff. And, a lot of people do get excited. But the internet, as you know, can go really high or it can go really negative as well. So even tempering some of the negativity might be part of my job description.
Brian, on that and expectations and what you just talked about, Yammer Gomez Andrade has been in the conversation for defender of the year ever since he's got to the MLS. he was a finalist for that award last season. How do you keep him growing, and what have you seen from him so far, in this brief time you've had with him?
That is a great question, Nico, because I just sat down with him 3 days ago, Freddie and myself and Yaimar, and we outlined, some goals, some challenges. Remember at the beginning of last year, he wasn't in our starting group because, I needed a little bit more. And me and Gonzo at the time tried to figure out ways how to connect with him and, make him better. We challenged him last year because we felt, the coaching staff felt that Yaimar could be one of the best defenders in our league. And so when we gave him that little challenge, he certainly exceeded and, met the expectations that we outlined for him. And so this year, Nico, what I did is I'm asking him to grow a little bit more as an individual, as a leader, get his English a little bit better. Can he lead by example on the training field? Can he take some of the younger players under his wing without overdoing it? I don't need Yaimar to change because he's very, very good, but just challenging him to be a little bit better leader within our group is the message that I gave him. And he, of course, accepted that, is willing to learn, thought about some of the ideas. And so hopefully we'll see, a little bit more, growth in Yaimar as he stays with us for a few more years.
Hi, Brian. I wanted to clarify when you were talking about everybody being back. Today will be the first time that you guys are on the field together, and then also the match on Thursday. Does that mean that you had spoke earlier about usually trying to hold or pin things down, so you'll play a more traditional tactics or whatever on Thursday as far as the lineup and how long the players play on there?
Yeah, you guys will see the lineups come out. I just have to check in with the guys like JP and, Javi hasn't played in a while. The American guys are good. I just need to check in with everybody to make sure they're all totally fit and ready to go, Jada. We have 2 90-minute scrimmages scheduled, so that's quite a lot to put on players if they haven't played in a competitive game in a while. So we're still kind of working through the absolute final details. And, based on what we see today and tomorrow, we'll roll out whatever formation. We might play one game, one formation, the other game, the other formation, just to kind of, again, just see how things work. And, we are extremely excited to have, most of our players minus Nuhu all with us. That's a real positive.
And today is the first time we'll be on the training pitch together?
Yeah, except for Nuhu. Nuhu is the only one that's not here.
Coach Brian, are you traveling for this last period of the preparation before going to Honduras? Are you traveling with more teams and more players than just the ones that are you need for Honduras?
Yes, absolutely. We have Juan Alvarez, Randy Mendoza, Jack Jeremiah, Hafferty, Baker, Hal, Stewart. We've got a bunch of young kids coming with us as well, just to fill out for those 2 90-minute games. So we will need those, Felipe. And, again, we're still assessing some of the young kids. We've always brought younger kids with us in preseason to give them a little taste as to, what they can do and what the expectations are. So.
Hey, Brian, what, if you want to share your travel plans? The game's on the 17th. Today's the 8th. You've got a game on the 10th. How many days are you giving a wrap up to get down there just to get acclimatized?
Well, we're going to be down in Honduras. I believe we travel on the Tuesday, and we'll have we'll charter down there on the Tuesday. We'll have a training session in Honduras in the stadium on Wednesday night and play the game Thursday, and then travel back late Thursday night. But that's pretty standard for our Champions League fixtures or away fixtures. I mean, when we had to charter, were able to charter because of COVID and all of that, it's really been a blessing. I think traveling with a charter, helps the players perform better. So that's a plus, that's a bonus. I mean, I remember back in the days with Zig, we would travel from Seattle to Dallas, train in the afternoon, then the next morning have to get up, travel from Dallas down to Central America, and then train in the stadium that night, and then play, and then have a massive long day flying back from El Salvador, Honduras, Costa Rica, a massive long travel day coming back to Seattle. So things have improved.
Brian, forgive me if you've been asked about this already, but just talk about the contract extensions for Raul and Joe Paulo and Xavier. How pleased are you that that was able to get done before the season started?
Well, great. I mean, look, internally, I knew those things were going to happen. So maybe my enthusiasm is a little tempered, but super excited, super happy. All three of them are, tremendously talented players. We all know Raul's goal scoring. Well, JP's goal scoring as well. Wasn't he the one that had 2 goal of the year finalists last year? Javi's been great since he's been here. So happy that we were able to lock them up for a few more years.
And it's been mentioned a few times that Leyva and Josh Atencio are injured. What's their status? And yeah, can you share a little bit more about
They're
them?
coming down with us. We're going to take everybody just to get the whole team bonding. There'll be some other activities, stuff like that, Jada. But Matt will keep updating you guys on the injury report. They will not feature against the Galaxy, but we're bringing them down and trying to get them back as soon as possible. We're going to need those 2 young kids. We're going to need young players. It's a condensed season, so it's unfortunate that they got injured, but we'll make do.
Hey, Brian, you mentioned the World Cup earlier and the guys who were in contention for that. I'm wondering, with it being at the end of your season this time around, does that make it easier to manage those guys who are in contention for their national teams, or is it just as much of a juggling act working with the federations as it was in 2018?
Well, we'll see. I don't really know yet. I mean, yeah, there was the time, and I can remember times when players would go for international duty or World Cup, in the middle of a year, and players, are they worried about getting injured, and are they playing for their club? They're excited. It's human nature to look ahead to the World Cup. It's the biggest sporting event in the world. There's a lot of emotions that run through players during that time. I'd love to say that all of our players are committed to this club. They're all going to perform to the best of their abilities. I believe, like I discussed earlier, that's something that we do have for the entire season, because for them to secure their spots in their respective national teams, they're going to have to be playing. They're going to have to be playing at a high level. I mean, you guys can, we can talk about Nuhu being sold in the summer. We can talk all you want about that, and if it happens, great. But what if he gets sold to a team and then he doesn't play regularly? I mean, he's going to play regularly for us. So there's all those different storylines that you guys can talk about. But yes, I think the players that stay here with us, with the club, they will be motivated to end the year on a high note. Talking to Jordan this morning, he's super excited. He's super excited to play, and he's got a full slate of games this year, and he's looking forward to ending his year, at a World Cup.
Brian, have you, obviously you've talked to Christian, but have you gotten where he's at? I mean, he got to go with the national team, but didn't get as much place as he wanted. He's been such a key component of your team year after year. Where do you see him this year?
As a key component to my team this year, and someone that I believe deserves to be on the national team. I mean, Christian's such a cerebral player, such a smart player. I know that's why Greg keeps calling him in. I'm happy for Christian. I hope that he gets a chance. He from day one. I mean, look, from day one when we drafted him, you guys have seen the growth in the kid. He's a humble kid, fits in with all the guys, works hard in training every day. I love smart soccer players. He's a smart soccer player. So he's been great for the club. And I just hope he gets his chance with the national team.
So mentally, you have no concerns that going over there and not getting the play time that he wanted would affect him. Maybe
No.
could even help him out.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thanks for the clarification, Nico. No, he's super motivated to start the season and play well, and then have his play speak volumes. Now I got the question.
Thank you, sir.
Brian, with the conversation that you have with Yaimar, is there anyone else that you sat down with recently that you'd like to get a little bit more out of?
Well, I sit down with all the players, Jada. You know, I check in, I have my little list of players, and, you know, I've had talks with Albert, Nico, Jordan, Christian, all the guys, JP this morning. It's just about setting expectations for the players. I like doing that at the beginning of the year and then checking in with them midway through the year. How's it going? You know, Kellen and I have a good relationship, talk through with some things with him. It's just kind of how we like to operate. The assistant coaches help me there. You know, I'll try and talk to them, but then it's, you know, Freddie's job, Precky's job to go and have, you know, rapport with the players. So you're constantly, as a coaching staff, trying to, you know, poke and prod and give examples, challenge, all of that sort of stuff to the players. It's all about just getting to know them as individuals so that you can figure out ways how to maximize their performance.
Coach, I want to ask you specifically about Leo Shu. He's going to his first full season with the Sounders. And how do you plan to use him this upcoming season? Is he going to get more minutes? What do you have in mind for Leo Shu?
Well, I have in mind for Leo Chu playing a few more minutes. He has to work and earn those minutes in training and games, but he has looked good. His English is getting very good, so that helps he and our communication, so he understands exactly what I'm saying on the field, off the field, during training. So he has worked very hard at his English. He's worked very hard at understanding kind of how we play, because when he came, you know, from Brazil, it's a different style. MLS is different. It's a little bit more challenging sometimes than other leagues around the world. So he's figured it out. He's looked good in training. And I can say that we certainly hope that he gets more minutes and he will continue to grow as a young player.
Brian, can you give us an update on Nico Lodero's health? I know he played 24 minutes, and what do you have lined up for him in?
He's chomping at the bit, Jeremiah. He's ready to go. He would tell you that he's ready to play 90 minutes. That just because of the injury that he sustained and just kind of the ramp up for that, just to make sure that nothing goes wrong there. We're being a little bit cautious, but he's definitely going to play against the Galaxy, and he's definitely going to play against Motagua. I can throw that out to you.
Right, for your, like, in your bird's eye kind of view, as far as the locker room dynamics go, as much as you can share, Christian was one of the ones that was, kind of bridged the gap between the English and the Spanish, and obviously he wasn't, around. Who did you kind of see that was really kind of maybe stepping up in that leadership role, kind of taking that kind of role? Is that still like Nico, or what have you kind of seen from your team?
Well, as far as the language barrier is concerned, Jada, all of us are trying to learn Spanish. Spanish speakers are trying to learn English, and it's comical because my broken Spanish, is hilarious. They all laugh at me. But it's kind of interesting because we had a young goalkeeper in, Wallace Lapsley, who we did not know spoke any Spanish, but he speaks fluent Spanish. And so even a younger player can kind of intersect himself, put himself into the group. And, all the Spanish speakers were really surprised and happy, and they're having these conversations. And, all of us Adam Santafario, the new fitness trainer, speaks Italian, Spanish, and English, and he's talking to them. So Jada, it's a big group, and it's a diverse group, and we all just kind of seem to get along.
Hey, Brian, can I ask you a little more about expectations? I think you probably remember Garth talking about how this could be the best team that he's been a part of in Seattle. And I know you have to try and moderate that. But also in the context of CCL, it's often seems like an impossible mission that the MLS teams have to be ready for this tournament in time, and then to not have it knock on into the regular season. And I'm wondering where you see kind of the physiological periodization elements of that, as well as the mental expectations.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Expectations. I mean, look, Garth was involved with, 2016. I know he came in 2015, so maybe that wasn't all of his handiwork. I mean, 2019, we had a tremendous team. 2018, we set records at the end of the year where we won like 18 games, or we only lost 2 out of 18. This past season, we set a record of 13 games unbeaten. I mean, we've had a great team. I would not say that this team's going to be the best all time. We haven't even stepped on the field yet. There is the Champions League loss that I take very personally in 2020. I mean, there are high expectations for this club. Garth, since you mentioned his name, he has made it one of his, flags in the ground. He wants to win a Champions League competition. We certainly do, coaches, staff, players. I think that would be good for MLS. It would be a good marker. No club has yet to do it. I know Montreal and Toronto, they've been close. There's been teams that have been close. RSL once. Our ability to get into the League's Cup final. I mean, the league is always trying to promote that competition between, Mexican teams and MLS. So it is a big deal. Champions League is a competition we want to do very well in. And so having a good team, because I agree with Garth, we do have a good team, a very good team on paper. That gives us the best chance of doing well in Champions League, doing well in league, and ending the year on a high note in another MLS Cup final.
All right, guys. Probably last question, maybe 2 if we have it, because Coach needs to head to the airport and catch a flight. So please, last couple here.
Yeah, Coach, really quick. You talked about Garth there, and it reminded me of a question I wanted to ask you. Going into the 6th full year now, for you as head coach, how has your relationship with Garth evolved over the years? I want to ask him as well, but how has your relationship with him evolved over the years?
It's fine. I mean, we get along fine. It's he's very, very good at what he does. Very good general manager. I think I do a pretty good job. So we're all motivated to make sure that the club does well. And as the club grows, as we have all these new objectives, the stakes always getting a little higher every year. I get it. Coaches are, hired to get fired and all of that sort of stuff. It's all normal for me, Jackson. I think we have a very talented technical staff. Garth maybe kind of has grown into, kind of doing bigger picture things. Craig has come in and really done a great job at kind of solidifying the technical side of the organization down here. He's more the day-to-day guy that I deal with. And, we've got Henry, we've got Wade, we've got a talented bunch of coaches. Chris Cornish and his medical staff has done a great job. We've added people to our sports science department. Ravi left and Tyler has come on board. Megan, our new strength and fitness coach, she's super talented. She's a PhD, a heck of a lot smarter than I am. So as the organization grows, it's been good. I'm just lucky that I've been a part of it. And, we just want to keep, winning trophies and winning games.
Any last questions here, guys? Nico, why don't you close us out?
Yeah, Brian, I just wanted to kind of get your overall take on your expectation of level of play within the league. I mean, you see so many South Americans prospects coming in with such high profiles. You see guys like Shaqiri coming into the league. I just kind of wanted your take on what the league's level is and their ability to now just get all kinds of players from prospects, young stars on the rise to a very good players with great resumes.
Yeah. Well, the league is growing as our club grows. The league's growing with it. It's interesting because look, I pay attention to Atlanta. I like to see what Gonzo's up to. I certainly read the headlines of all the Western Conference teams. Some of the East Coast teams, I might not get all of it, but I read the MLS website and I get the news and we talk about it downstairs. I think our league, the build up to the World Cup in 2026, it's just so well positioned to have another tremendous growth spurt. The build up to the World Cup, I'm already excited about it now, and it's only 2022. It's going to be great. I've had really good memories of my time watching the World Cup in '94 when it was last here in the United States. So, the league is going to position itself to be a major factor, a major contributor, a major, benefactor of the World Cup coming here. And, that means we're going to get better players. We're going to get more expensive players. We're going to, this U22 initiative with players like Leo Chu and some of the other guys that have come in and we're spending money on. It's all good. You see the sales of recent MLS stars overseas. I mean, there's a lot of young players that are coming from MLS and being sold for, not just 1 million, 2 million, but $5, $6, $10 million. I mean, that's just another sign of how much growth the league has.